Welcome to our channel. Today we're diving into a sensitive but important topic, the top 7 countries where blacks are not welcome. Now I know what you're thinking, Richard, why you gotta be so real? Can't we just have a video about puppies and rainbows? And trust me, I love puppies and rainbows as much as the next guy, but the reality is, racism exists, and pretending it doesn't help nobody. We're going to be looking at 7 countries where, statistically, historically, and anecdotally, black people face a whole different level of welcomeness. We're talking about places where the legacy of colonialism, the persistence of stereotypes, and the reality of discrimination make it tough to just exist. This isn't about pointing fingers or shaming anyone, it's about awareness. It's about understanding the experiences of others. And hey, maybe, just maybe, it'll spark a conversation or two about how we can do better. So buckle up, grab your passport, metaphorically of course, unless you want to, and let's get into it. Our first stop takes us to Country A. Now, Country A is known for its beautiful beaches, its vibrant culture, and its, shall we say, complicated history with race. See, Country A was a major player in the whole colonization game. We're talking centuries of exploiting resources and people, specifically black people. And that legacy? Yeah, it doesn't just disappear overnight. You see remnants of it in the social hierarchy, in the way certain groups are portrayed in the media, even in casual conversations. Now, I'm not saying everyone in Country A is walking around with a colonial mindset. But there's a reason why black travelers often report feeling like outsiders, like they're constantly being watched, judged, or worse, ignored. There's this unspoken tension, this feeling of walking on eggshells, that can really put a damper on your vacation vibes, and it's not just tourists. Black residents, even those who have lived in Country A for generations, often talk about facing microaggressions, discrimination in housing and employment, and a general sense of not truly belonging. Next up we have Country B. Now, Country B likes to think of itself as progressive, a beacon of equality in a troubled world. And to be fair, they've made some strides. But recently, let's just say they've hit a bit of a brick wall, and that brick wall is shaped like, you guessed it, racial discrimination. There have been a string of high-profile incidents involving black citizens and the police. We're talking racial profiling, excessive force, the whole 9 yards. And the government's response? Well, it's been underwhelming, to say the least. Instead of addressing the root causes of these issues, they've doubled down on rhetoric that only further marginalizes and demonizes black communities. They've implemented policies that disproportionately impact black people, from education to healthcare to criminal justice. And the media? Don't even get me started on the media. They've been busy perpetuating harmful stereotypes and fueling the flames of division. It's like they took a page out of the How to Make Racism Worse playbook and decided to go all in. Alright folks, pack your bags, because we're heading to Country C. This is a place that promises adventure, beauty, and a rich cultural experience. But as with any journey, there are a few things you should be aware of before you go. Now, Country C is known for its stunning landscapes, its rich history, and its vibrant culture that attracts millions of tourists every year. From breathtaking mountains to serene beaches, there's something for everyone. But let's not forget its, how can I put this, delicately unique approach to race relations. It's a place where diversity is visible, yet the social fabric is woven with threads of subtle discrimination. You see, in Country C, it's not so much about overt racism, but rather this insidious, systemic bias that permeates every aspect of society. It's like an undercurrent that you might not notice at first, but it's always there. Think of it like a fine wine, but instead of grapes, it's fermented with centuries of prejudice and just a hint of we're not racist, but it's a complex blend that leaves a bitter aftertaste. Now you might be thinking, Richard, surely it can't be that bad. Maybe it's just a few isolated incidents, right? And you know what? You're right, it can be worse. Because in Country C, they've perfected the art of smiling in your face while simultaneously making you feel like you're about 2 shades too dark to be there. It's a masterclass in passive-aggressive behavior. Because in Country C, they've perfected the art of smiling in your face while simultaneously making you feel like you're about 2 shades too dark to be there. It's a masterclass in passive-aggressive behavior. Black travelers have reported everything from being denied service in restaurants, where waiters conveniently forget your order, to being followed around in stores as if you're a suspect the moment you walk in, to being racially profiled by law enforcement. It's a constant reminder that you're seen as different, and not in a good way. And the worst part? When you try to call it out, You're often met with blank stares and a healthy dose of "you must be mistaken." It's gaslighting at its finest. So yeah, if you're black and planning a trip to Country C, you might want to pack your patience and a thick skin, and maybe a good lawyer just in case. Because in Country C, navigating the social landscape can be as challenging as navigating its physical one. Fasten your seatbelts, folks, because we're about to land in Country D, a place where the welcome mat is out, but with some very specific terms and conditions, especially if you're black. Now, Country D loves to boast about its multiculturalism, its tolerance, its melting pot status, and on the surface it can seem that way, but scratch beneath the surface and you'll find a different story. See, in Country D it's all about assimilation. The message is clear. You're welcome here. As long as you conform, as long as you blend in, as long as you leave your blackness at the door. Black residents often talk about feeling pressure to code switch, to tone down their blackness in order to fit in, to be accepted. And while there's nothing wrong with embracing different cultures, it becomes problematic when it's forced, when it's a condition of your acceptance. It's like saying, "We'll tolerate you, but only if you pretend to be more like us," and that, my friends, is not true equality. Get ready to crunch some numbers, folks, because we're headed to Country E, a place where the statistics on racial discrimination paint a pretty grim picture. The numbers reveal a stark reality that cannot be ignored. Now I know what you're thinking. Richard, can't we just have one country without all the heavy stuff? Can't we focus on something positive for a change? And trust me, I wish we could. But the reality is, these issues are too significant to overlook. But the reality is, numbers don't lie. They tell a story that needs to be heard. In Country E, black people are disproportionately represented in every negative statistic you can think of. Poverty, unemployment, incarceration, healthcare disparities, you name it. It's a pervasive issue that affects every aspect of their lives. And it's not just a coincidence. These disparities are the result of systemic issues that have been in place for generations. Studies have shown that black people in Country E face systemic discrimination in education, employment, housing, and even access to basic services. This systemic bias creates barriers that are difficult to overcome, and even access to basic services. These barriers are not just inconvenient, they are life-altering. They're more likely to be stopped and searched by the police, often without any justifiable reason, more likely to be denied loans, which stifles economic mobility and growth, and more likely to receive harsher sentences for the same crimes. The justice system is far from just for them. It's like the deck is stacked against them from the moment they're born. And the worst part, this cycle of disadvantage continues generation after generation. Many people in Country E refuse to acknowledge that racism even exists. They turn a blind eye to the suffering of others. They'll point to the few black people in positions of power and say, "See, no problem here." But these exceptions don't reflect the reality for the majority. But as we all know, representation without equity is just a fancy illusion. It's time to look beyond the surface and address the root causes of these disparities. Hold on to your hats, folks, because we're about to witness something truly remarkable. A glimmer of hope. That's right, amidst all the bleakness, Country F is showing the world that change is possible. It's a beacon of light in a world that often feels shrouded in darkness. Now don't get me wrong, Country F is far from perfect. It has its own set of challenges and struggles. They've got their own share of issues with racism, just like every other country on this list. But what makes them stand out is their proactive approach. What sets them apart is their willingness to confront those issues head-on. They don't shy away from the tough conversations. In recent years, Country F has seen a surge in activism and social movements dedicated to combating racism and promoting equality. The energy is palpable. From grassroots organizations to student-led protests, people are taking to the streets, raising their voices, and demanding change. It's a collective effort. And the best part? The government is actually listening. They're not just paying lip service, they're taking real action. They've implemented policies aimed at addressing racial disparities in education, employment, and criminal justice. These are not just token gestures. They've created programs to support marginalized communities and promote diversity and inclusion. These initiatives are making a real difference. Now, I'm not saying that Country F has all the answers. Far from it. But they are asking the right questions, but they're definitely on the right track. They're making strides, one step at a time. And that, my friends, is something to be hopeful about. It's a testament to the power of collective action and the human spirit. And last but not least, we arrive at Country G, a place where sadly the story of racial discrimination is all too familiar. Country G, much like some of its counterparts on this list, struggles with the ghosts of its colonial past. The legacy of exploitation and oppression continues to cast a long shadow, manifesting in systemic racism and deeply ingrained prejudices. Black people in Country G often face discrimination in housing, employment, and education. They're underrepresented in positions of power and overrepresented in the criminal justice system. And while there have been some efforts to address these issues, progress has been slow and often met with resistance. The sad reality is that, in Country G, being black often means facing an uphill battle, a constant struggle against prejudice and discrimination. It's a reminder that the fight for equality is far from over, and that we must continue to shine a light on these injustices until real change is achieved. And there you have it, folks, the 7 countries where, let's just say, being black comes with its own unique set of challenges. Now, I know this wasn't the most uplifting video, but sometimes the truth isn't pretty. The important thing is that we acknowledge it, that we learn from it, and that we use it as fuel to create a more just and equitable world for everyone. Thank you for watching. If you found this video informative, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. Stay safe and informed.